Alright, so I set up my Crua try to get it ready for some fall camping, got it hosed off, cleaned up, aired out, and I also played around with this Coolingstyle portable air conditioning unit and just tested it out in the cocoon of the try. Unfortunately, I seem to have missed the real heat of the summer. Yesterday it was about 78, relatively high humidity, enough humidity so that it was uncomfortable. But I let this rip in the cocoon for about an hour and had my indoor outdoor thermometer set up. It dropped the temperature about 7 to 8 degrees. So it got it from 78 to around 70. But it didn't do any better than that. I had hoped that in a confined space like the interior of this tent, which is maybe the size of a queen bed and no taller than maybe about 5 feet, that the cool air would recirculate and get cooled off even more, but that just didn't happen. It dropped at about 7 to 8 degrees. That's where it stayed. So I'm curious if it had been a really hot day, if it was in the 90s, whether it would still drop it to 70 degrees or whether it's just gonna drop it 7 to 8 degrees. So, not a great test, but it definitely did cool it off, and it certainly lowered the humidity. If you watched my other video, I stand by this thing being a great dehumidifier, and somebody had commented that they didn't buy the portable air conditioner for, they didn't buy a dehumidifier, they bought an air conditioner, but dehumidification is air conditioning. Might not be the cooling portion of air conditioning, but without dehumidification, all you've got is a swamp cooler. So, drying that air out, especially if you live in a place like Pennsylvania or the South or anywhere where there's high humidity, drying the air out is almost as important as dropping the air temperature. So you can see I've already emptied this a couple times, but that's just some of the liquid that this thing pulled out of the air inside the tent. And the tent is insulated. You've got this insulated cocoon which just wraps around the whole interior of the tent. Then you've got the outer tent body that you can completely seal out. I used the hot pipe and vented the exhaust from the AC out of the tent. That's crucial. I tried it briefly. My camera just flaked there. Sorry about that. I tried it briefly without the hot pipe, and what little cooling comes out of this thing, it loses the tug of war. The hot air that gets exhausted out is hot enough that it's a losing battle, and the air temperature begins to rise. So, gotta use that hot pipe. Also, I had this little folding step stool that I got at Walmart at some point, very inexpensive. And this is the ideal stand for this because you can snake the drain tube down through the center of that, and then you can just put a dish under there to catch it, or in this case I just had it feeding into this 2-liter bottle on its side. So that's the perfect solution to getting this thing elevated enough so that it effectively drains, because I think, like I mentioned in my other video, I was complaining that cavity there is just not enough clearance to get it to drain through the tube. So that's really ideal, and it also makes it a little more stable, especially if you're using it in something like a tent floor where it's not a nice level solid surface. So alright, well, that was just a real quick real world test discussion of the Coolingstyle. Maybe if we get another heat wave here, I'll try it again in some more serious heat. But just let me know if you have any questions. Please subscribe, comment below, like, dislike, whatever you want.